Yeah.
Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking. I'm joined here with my co-host Tassie Brown. And Tassie, have we got a treat for everyone today?
Well, I have, mate. We've got a guy that I've been talking to for quite a while now. Just keen fighter, and his dad was an absolute star of the sport, so very excited.
Yeah, well, we speak of Hector Camacho Jr. We're just going to bring Hector in now. Welcome, Macho. How are you, mate? Welcome to Boxing Deep Dive.
It's macho time. How you doing, brother?
Yeah,
Good to be on.
It's been a while since I've heard the Macho time.
What's up to all my people in down under, man? Got a lot of friends out there. A lot of fans who I keep in contact with social media. Even little guys, little one, so all my fans down under is macho time.
It's great to have you on board, mate. You've got a lot of fans down under, and obviously you keep in contact with them because Tassie here couldn't wait to get you on the show. So welcome officially to the Boxing Deep Dive show.
My pleasure.
Mate, just we'll get started. Obviously, the name Hector Camacho Jr. Obviously, your dad was the legend Hector Sr. Mate, how was it growing up? I know was it right? You were born in Puerto Rico and raised in New York, or you were actually born in New York as well?
I was born in New York City.
Okay.
And raised in New York at a young age. Growing up, being the son of Macho Camacho, it sounds like a lot of fun. And it was. But it does have its pros and its cons, you know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in a rough neighborhood. My father was a hero, fighter on TV. But that didn't mean that it wasn't me, it was my father. So I grew up being the son of, like a little celebrity. I was walking down the streets, people used to point their finger, oh, that's Camacho's son, that's Camacho's son. So I was popular around, schools and around the neighborhood. So that was a cool thing. But then the cons to it was that you got kids in the street who obviously don't care. They want to beat up. They want to challenge Hector Camacho Jr. I want to see what this Camacho kid's about. So I used to get bullied on when I was young. I had to force myself to fight. So it has its pros and its cons. The good things, of course, I've been to the city lights. I've seen it all. I've been to the big fights. That's the great thing about it.
So tell us about the early life growing up. You just said about growing up with your dad on TV and everything. How was it life in New York City around that time? It must have been obviously a great time with your dad in the mainstream. But how was it actually growing up as Hector Camacho's son, especially with the name Junior?
No, man, it was everything for me growing up. I was like a sort of celebrity since young. Remember, I come out of school, I walk the street, people used to stop me. Hey, can I take a picture with you? So I was getting that attention from young. But it was sick. I was in my neighborhood at the same time where I grew up. I didn't grow up in castles. I grew up in the streets of Spanish Harlem, New York City. The drug-infested streets of Spanish Harlem. A lot of crime, a lot of drugs. And especially during the 80s. I was born in 78, And during that time, my father was famous, And being young growing up, it was like having a superhero. Like whenever, I'm off from school, summertime, my free time, I'll fly to my father. And what I would see there is him training, him living the life, nice cars, the flashy life. But the reality was, I had to go back home to the streets of New York City and live in the projects. So I grew up rough. Nothing was given to us, So, growing up, I didn't quite understand it, And it got to a point that I just shy away from people and not tell people I'm Camacho Jr. Are you Camacho Jr.? Why you live in the projects? It became overwhelming after a while, being young. I just shy away from that. But that was my upbringing. It was great. I seen a lot. I learned a lot. And I'm thankful.
We've got to say, Tassie, you probably agree with me, mate, that growing up, that Hector Camacho was probably one of my favourite fighters. Actually, a little bit of a story for you here, Hector. My nickname growing up was actually Macho, because as a kid, a lot of people thought I looked like your dad. So that's what my nickname was Macho. And I used to love watching him.
Thank you.
Because I was born in 73, so same as you, I was around that time when I was just getting into boxing and loving boxing when your dad was around, to see him fight the big fights with Rosario and Cornelius Boza Edwards and Ramirez and all these guys. It was just a great time. So that's just for my behalf. I loved your dad, and
Thank
Tassie, I'm
you.
sure you were the same.
Yeah, obviously.
No, thank you, man.
Obviously.
And they also had some great fighters. The Jeff Finich was great. You also had some great fighters out there in that under. You also had your rep. And let me add you a little added bonus growing up. It was fun going to be son of Camacho. It had its pros and its cons. That I was young. You lived the life.
Yeah.
So
I just want to say, obviously, Hector. I mean, obviously, I was a massive fan of your dad. He was one of the most electrifying boxers I've ever seen, and he carried the sport as in like he brought the entertainment factor, which Nazim Hamed and all that copied your dad. I mean, I copied your dad a bit when I was boxing. I had a bit of a flashy entrance. He was just amazing. But about your career, Hector, mate, I seen you fight Philip Holiday on the Costa Sushi card. And at the time, you ranked #1 for the WBA. I watched that fight recently, mate. How was that experience? And fighting on, two undercard and being #1 ranked in the world at the time, fighting a former world champion in Philip Holiday.
hey, good question. Thanks for that question. No, during that time, I was ranked #1 in the world. I was gonna fight your guys. I was gonna fight Costa Sul. And lucky my management told me, stay away from that monster. He's a monster. You better all fight an HBO, two other bums, and make the same kind of money because the Sue is a monster. And that's 100% correct. And I'm thankful to this day my management team decided to go that route because Sue was a monster. But fighting Philip Holiday, who was actually a world experienced fighter, he just came on fighting. The only guy who beat him at that time was Sugar Shane Mosley, who was a phenom coming up. And it took Shane Mosley 12 rounds to beat him for the title. When going to the fight, I was just overconfident. I thought I'll knock him out as soon as I hit him. And it was a great fight. It was the undercard of Chai versus, Costa Sul. So I experienced a big event being the undercard. I was there in front of people, so it was my time to show off. I went there to shine. The fight was a little awkward than what I expected. I think it ended in a cut, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I dropped Phillips, and I began to outpunch him and outmaneuver him, going with the pace, but the fight was stopped. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I believe Shane Bay was the world champion for the WBA at that time, and I believe that was definitely a winnable fight for you. Another big name you fought was Jesse James Lahar, who was a former, I think, multiple world champion. He beat Zuma Nelson and Nelson. Tell me a bit about that fight, mate. You looked amazing earlier. I know there was a bad cut, stopped on the cut, but I mean, he was obviously another very experienced former world champion.
When you talk about that fight right there has defined my boxing career. And people, hey Macho, why you never reach the potential of your talent? And we always look back to the Jesse Leha fight. That's a fight that will always stick in my head, when it comes down to the turning point of my boxing career. Interesting enough, my goal when I first started boxing wasn't to become world champion or try to become better than my father. My goal being a boxer was to be known for myself. Hector Camacho Jr. I got tired of people, oh, that's Camacho's son. That's Camacho's son. Nah, that's Hector Camacho Jr. That's Camacho's son. I wanted my name to come out first, and I felt like I proved that throughout my career coming up, I fought on the main event show when I fought Rocky Martinez on HBO KO Nation. And my father was under my undercard. So that was my world championship fight. So, once that happened, right before the Leha fight happened, I looked at Leha like, I'm going to blast this old man away. I'm going to blast him out early. Leha ain't going to take my punching power. I'm going to blast him out. And the tough man came into the fight. The fight got stopped by 10-2 headbutt. I got butted, which you still see here. And went to the scorecards. Doing the scorecards, I was up till the judges gave me the victory. The next day when I woke up in New York City, in my hometown, the front page of the New York Post or Daily News said Camacho's a coward. And that right there, I seen the reality of boxing. I should have known better when my father fought Rosario, how the boxing world turned on him after he got rocked. He was the macho man. But then we went back to the Rosario fight. So that Leja fight was one of those type of fights. That was the breaking point of my career. When I got fed up with boxing, like I always tell people, boxing is a beautiful sport. No question. It's a beautiful sport. But it's a dirty business. Very dirty business. 90% of fighters retire broke, no money. How that happens?
Yeah.
How that happens? We're talking about guys who made millions. It's about guys came from nothing, from the streets, and made it. We don't have a union. We don't have a retirement fund. We don't have those kind of things in boxing. It's a beautiful business, but it's a beautiful sport, but dirty business. So during that Leja situation, when I seen that front page, Camacho Cow, I said, you know what? Forget boxing. I made my money. I made well over $2 million. I don't need boxing. I reached my championship, my goal, and I just stopped loving the sport of boxing.
Hector, you obviously had your an amateur career and then you turned pro in '96. Was there any chance that you were ever going to do anything except box?
Besides boxing?
Was there ever a chance that you were going to not go into boxing and do something else, or you just had there was no chance you were ever going to do anything different?
Boxing, if not a boxing manager, if not a boxing promoter. But no, we all got several talents. God bless us, everybody with special talent. I'm a creative person. I do other things. I stay busy outside the boxing ring. So, boxing is my ace, as my love. But I've been blessed with the ability to do other things outside of boxing,
Hector, I noticed too you fought another great fighter, Yuri Boy Campus. He was a world champion, Matthew Hunter. Also, too, question, recently you done an exhibition fight with the great Julio Cesar Chavez, who fought your father. And how was that experience with Julio? What was it like being in there with him? The memories, obviously, him fighting your father. I mean, they're sort of tied together in legacy, your dad and Julio. And I think they become friends afterwards and even partied together once they had their great fight.
Hey, you just mentioned me, guys, who I fought in my career. And I'm listening to you. I'm listening to the names. I fought some good fighters in my boxing career myself.
You did.
You giving me good names. I said, wow, Philip Holiday, former world champion, Leah, former world champion, Campas, And I'm like, wow, I fought some good fights in my career. Well, with the Campas situation, it wasn't a fight that I wanted. I remember going to the Campas Camacho Sr. fight. My father was in the shape, and basically, the fight ended up in a draw, but it was close. I thought Campas maybe pulled it off, but it came from the draw. Remember, I told my father, "Pop, this is a sign. That's it. Like that's it." I remember talking to him after the fight. I said, "Pops, this is a sign. That's it, man. That's it. Get the gloves up." And a month after, they called me up to fight Campas. I don't know. I didn't want the fight at first, but then it was like, you know what? I gave venture to my father. So I remember calling my father and say, "Pops, what's up? Listen, I got a phone call to fight Campas." He still quiet. I said, "Hello?" Like, yeah. And he was pissed. Like he took it like a sign of disrespect. He said, "Campas gonna beat your ass." I said, "So, Pops, yeah. Don't think because he fought me and I couldn't do it, he gonna beat your ass." That's why I took the Campas fight. So I took the fight, just, it was a good name, good fight. I was surprised I didn't feel Campas' power at all. I thought I was going to feel some punches in there. It was a comfortable win. It was rough. I was doing more like pushing. My strategy is to let him know that he ain't going to bully me. He called me out. From my father, he ain't going to bully me. That was my strategy towards that fight. But, Campas surprisingly wasn't what I expected. But then again, this is an old Campas one fight. This is the lighter shit. They ain't the same fighter. Now, when it comes to Julio Cesar Chavez, the great Julio Cesar Chavez, when the fight was signed, my mindset was knock him out. This is a fight that I always wanted from young. I always wanted the Chavez fight. In fact, when my father fought, when I fought Philip Holiday, he was the main event against Costa Sul. I wanted to fight Chavez. I remember I told Chavez before he retired, to get some rest, man. Let's do something. When you finish up. And he told me to laugh. Yeah, I'm done with boxing. I tried to get his son afterwards. Julio Cesar Chavez. We talked. We came close to signing the contract. It never panned out. And then I got Omar Chavez, the younger son, who agreed and we signed the contract. But he had some legal issues, so that fight never happened. So I got to a point I was frustrated. I wanted any Chavez, man. I want to call to see if there's any other Chavez that training. If there's a Ricky Chavez, if there's a Bobby Chavez. Like, I didn't find a female Chavez. If there's a Julie Chavez, if there's a Kathy Chavez. So I just wanted my revenge. So finally Chavez called me up and he accepted it. It was the right time. During that time, the Roy Jones Muhammad Ali fight, the Roy Jones Mike Tyson exhibition match was going on, so that made sense. So you know what? We spoke on the phone. We both agreed on terms, and it was a hell of an experience, man. You know, I trained to knock his head off, but when I got to Mexico and I seen Chavez face to face, it's not the same Chavez that I once loved. The ones who beat my father, the icon, like, and I seen the gray hairs, I seen the wrinkles, and I told myself, who am I to go in there and beat this old man up in Mexico? A true legend. I mean, this was my night to shine. And let everybody know it's macho time. But I gracefully bowed down to the man who I think I could one of the greatest fighters ever. So I held my hand backwards. And of course, I didn't know it was going to be like this. When I got to Mexico, there was restrictions now when I got to Mexico. Headgear. I couldn't throw certain punches. I can't say, you know, complete everything, but I could throw certain shots. He had a messed up nose. I said, you know what? I'll bow down gracefully.
So what's
It's
happening
his
here,
last fight,
Hector?
his last dance. Let him go in peace.
So what's happening here, Hector? You can see the vision on your screen there. What's happening here? There's a disagreement in the ring between you. What happened there?
Well, you know, once a fighter, always a fighter, and some fighters end up crazy in the head. So for some particular moment, Chavez wanted to take his headgear off and want to fight with no headgear. I said, man, you crazy? I'm holding back for knocking your head off, and you want to take it off? And I would have called it a bluff. I was going to do it. Inside, I was confused. Why you didn't take it off in the first round then? You going to take it off now? And so it was something I didn't want to do. I knew he had a nose fracture. I wasn't a disrespected champion. Not in Mexico. Not in his hometown. His last fight. I'm not abusive. It's sad what happened to Holyfield. It is sad. And it was a black guy in boxing. But, you know, this is what happens.
What do you think about that, Hector? Sorry, Taz. I was just going to say, what do you think about all this Triller stuff and all the exhibitions, Hector? I mean, obviously you did it with Chavez. How do you feel about it?
You know what? I'm not one to be badmouth to other people, other companies, what they're doing in boxing. But this definitely isn't a boxing I grew up in. It's not the boxing world that I love. Probably a lot of people's favorite fighter who messed this up, I ain't gonna say no names, who started all this fiasco in boxing. But it showed us fighters, the future fighters, that you gotta market yourself. Cause you got YouTubers coming in, and I cannot knock them. They bringing the audience. They're bringing butts to the seats, to the arena. Pay-per-views are selling. They market them themselves. Fighters gotta learn how to market themselves. You got promoters who only promote their promotion. They don't promote their fighters. They promote their promotion. Then you have few promoters who invest in promoting their fighters, and that's just what boxing is nowadays, you know? You know, who sells what, it's like monopolized. Certain promoters got TV dates. If you're not signed with them, you're not gonna see no light. So that, you know, boxing got a black eye in certain ways. So, you know, we in the pinpoint of boxing. You got people that UFC guys fighting boxers. At least I did my exhibition with a true legend. It was a meaning behind it. It wasn't the fiasco. And actually, if you see the exhibition, it was a quality exhibition. I mean, we threw some shots, and I held back at times. I got off, and it was a quality exhibition. Something you could watch and fun. You see some greatness in Chavez at his age, 58 years old, coming back, throwing shots that few men could do at his age, you know? So then you see something there. It's history behind it. But then you got some exhibitions going on, some celebrity boxing matches. I mean, I don't get into all that. I really don't. Boxing, you know, it's another world right now.
Hector, two questions. What's your opinion of how good Canelo is? Do you think that he can be an all-time, actually, if he's not already, an all-time great of Mexico? And also, too, do you have a relationship with Oscar De La Hoya? I did see, obviously, I know your father fought him, and I heard that you might have been interested in having a fight with him maybe one day as well. Now he's talking about fighting.
I didn't get the first question, but the question I heard was De La Hoya, and you rang the button right there. That's a fight that I would love. You know, he's coming back to boxing. Oscar, let's help protect boxing. Don't go back out there and fight a YouTuber or fight a MMA guy. Fight a boxer. If you can't even come back to the sport of boxing, and I'm here. I'm glad I'm here waiting for you. Open arms. It's macho time. Give me my revenge. You'll come back to boxing. Fight a fighter. I'm here for you.
And what do you think of Canelo? What do you rate Canelo as a fighter and a potential all-time legend?
You know, when it comes to Canelo, is a hot topic with Canelo. The kid has improved since he started. The kid, basically unbeatable. The kid's a monster. It shows came from nothing. He took it also Mayweather, how he learned so much from that fight. Experience matters, how that kid grew into. I personally see the change in his boxing style, becoming a slick boxer. If he want to fight, he's an all well-rounded fighter. He's the face of boxing right now. And as much you want to say, yeah, but he need to fight this guy, he need to fight this guy. When you get to a certain level, it gets like that. I mean, you want to see the top dog lose. That's just how it is. When Mayweather's on top, you don't want to see Mayweather lose. Now that Canelo, I want to see everybody see Canelo lose. I mean, all great fighters go through that. So it's just another patch of the torch. Actually, where he ranked among great fighters. It's another patch of the torch in our era. I mean, this is one of the great fighters in our era, without a question.
Apart from Canelo, Hector, how do you see the state of boxing today with other fighters out there? Do you think it competes or compares to previous eras, especially when your dad was around?
Fuck no. Fuck no. You know that. Fuck no, not even close. But you know what's exciting? We do have young fighters. They're willing to fight each other. And willing to sign a contract and fight. Undefeated fighters fighting. Would you rarely see that in times? I mean, you got fighters that are willing to fight. Tank Davis, interesting. He's an interesting boy.
Yeah.
Telefimo's interesting. I mean, the other kid that can fight Telefimo, you got characters in boxing. That boxing is not dead; it's still alive. You have good fighters and rough fighters. You got the good faces, the bad faces. We have our characters in boxing that can keep boxing going forward. We got the Tyson Fury coming up. We still got names and weight in boxing. Thank God, Do they rank the eras before? No. Hell no. Those are real fighters back in the fucking days. That's why boxing where it's at right now. The old school trainers who knew boxing, who spoke boxing, who could spell boxing. Not here no more. Now everybody go to a gym, everybody want to be Mayweather do the same Roger Mayweather pads. It just a fucking fiasco. You actually, excuse my language, you actually the truth. Boxing ain't the same old school boxing no more.
Well, speaking of Floyd Mayweather, I mean, we do a segment on here every week called Dream Fights, where we match different fighters from different eras. How do you think your dad would have went against someone like Floyd Mayweather in a dream fight?
It depends on the macho you're talking about. Let's say the early macho, the rough macho, the ones who go bang you in your arm, who gonna push you, who gonna wrap you around and twist you and turn you around and hit you behind the head, who gonna hit you on the bricks. You got a rough Mayweather. Yeah, get him on his fight zone. Or outbox him. Macho Man had the legs to box him. He had the speed to outbox him. I mean, of course, you put the pressure on. You fight into a boxer's trap by doing that. You got run into shots. And Floyd been a master, but Macho Man had good leg speed, great speed, and he had heart. And Floyd did too. It's an interesting matchup, man. It's an interesting matchup, and I try to avoid that. I'm not into a fantasy matchup, but of course I'll be biased to the Macho Man.
Yeah,
of course I'm gonna be biased to the Macho Man. The Macho Man during those '80s, man, that was some tough ass years. And I believe Floyd would do okay those '80s years, but you had some real fighters there in those '80s, man.
Certainly did. Who were some of your favourite fighters growing up, apart from your dad, Hector? Who were some of your idols when you were growing up?
Well, of course, I love people a part of Muhammad Ali. I loved Ali when he brought the table and what he stood for, what he took a stand for, and what he represented. Me as being a Muslim myself, So of course I love my brother Muhammad. I love Sugar Ray, the excitement. He was the golden boy in those '80s years. He was the face of boxing. Um, Pernell Whitaker, I loved him. I
Yeah,
admire his boxing
me,
ability.
me too.
He was a slick one, huh?
I love Sweet Pea Whitaker as well.
Oh, the best footwork movement. I mean, the best. A true southpaw boxer. I love the Michael Nunn, the Tim Austin, who had a chance. I love my southpaws. I study southpaws. But fighters who I love watching, man, how can I not say Chavez? Chavez is a fucking beast. He came to fight every time. Historic fights. A guy winning a fight at Merchant Olympian, and he breaks him down, he stomps him, he stops him. I mean, who cannot love Chavez? So that's one of my favorite fighters, man. So the Tyson company, the ice cream, the cake, grew up in New York City, 1986. Macho Camacho and Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was the beast.
Certainly was. So tell us a bit about yourself now, Hector. So you're involved with some charity work as well?
I'm always staying involved in charity work. You know, me being my faith in Islam, I was giving back. Charity is big on me. I'm a great person, big heart. I come from nothing, from the streets. So I know if you get blessed, give back and bless others. I live by that code. And yeah, I'm always a helping hand, you know. Everybody need help. I mean, you could have the next Macho Camacho right now. So in the apartment complex, you could have the next Muhammad Ali or the next Floyd Mayweather in the corner. But if you don't give a fighter a helping hand, you will never find out. You will never know. All these kids need a helping hand, a plus, a start. We all need that in life. Anybody who killed the hard way had a helping hand somewhere down the line in life. And, you know, we're capitalizing those. So I love giving back whenever I could and let the guys know that it's not over. I seen a guy in Hector Macho Camacho who was born in Puerto Rico, spoke no English. The man went to New York City, was raised, and he made it as far as being a great fighter. Not only that, he made it as high as going to the White House to meet President Reagan, because President Reagan wanted to meet this Hector Macho Camacho. So I believe it ain't this possible. You dream about it. You get your faith in it. That's the American dream, you ask me. And my father lived it. He's the meaning of American dream. So anytime I can spread that knowledge from somebody else who's down, who has done nothing in life, hey, I know a guy came from nothing to projects. I know. I've seen it. I follow his steps. Hey, by the way, boxing saved lives too.
Yeah, it certainly does, mate. Well, just before we finish, mate, with the boxing these days, do you have any active role in boxing now, or are you not involved anymore?
I think the Chavez thing, it's funny. At my age, I don't know why us fighters want to keep doing this. I do it for the glory, for the opportunity, getting me with De La Hoya or any other big names, or just the thrill of having an opportunity. Listen, George Foreman won his last world championship at 46 years old, if I'm mistaken, or 45. Bernard Hopkins won at 49. Antonio Tarver won at a late age as well. I still believe. So I keep myself in the gym to help others, to motivate others, at the same time motivate myself. When I go to the gym, get the young folks looking at me. Oh, Camacho, you know, and it makes you want to work and show them the way. You can do it too. Come on, follow me. So those kind of things motivate me, give me the energy, get back in shape. And who knows, man? You got to put my hand being a promoter. Let's just see what the future holds. You know, it's I'm always working outside the ring. By the way, well, yeah, you can order a book called Macho Dad. There's a children's book called Macho Dad. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at BarnesandNobles.com. It's teaching the youth of the kids how to deal with the loss. Kids deal with loss every day, whether it be their dog, their pet, their animal, whatever the case not. So it's a good children's book. Pick it up.
No, that's great, mate, and really appreciate getting your thoughts on all things boxing at the moment, mate. And we hopefully you continue your career. I didn't realise you're actually only 43, so based on today's standards, you've still got probably another 5 or 6 years in you if you really wanted to. So, mate, and again from all of us here, you know, we obviously loved your dad, but we'll definitely follow your progress going forward. And thanks again for being on today, mate.
It's macho time. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate y'all. Thanks to my family down under. I got a bunch of friends on Facebook, man. I love y'all. Keep pushing forward, and God is great. Cheers.
Thanks again, mate.
Yeah.
What time is it? It's
Macho
macho
time.
time.